Angel Reese and the Chicago Sky. Now, I've said I'm always going to be fair on this channel. Angel Reese is playing much better. All right, she is. I don't want to act like, look, it's one thing for a couple of games.
Reporters, buckle up because we need to talk about Angel Reese and the Chicago Sky. And trust me, this isn't just another fluff segment about hustle stats and cute quotes. This is the unfiltered version. And I've said this from day one on this channel, I'll always be fair. And fair means telling it exactly how it is.
7 and 8 games in a row of your game looking a lot different. There's a chance she has changed her game for the better. And I think it's because of shot selection. All right.
Angel Reese has been playing better, yes. And I'm not going to sit here and pretend otherwise. You can't ignore when a player shows some improvement. But it's one thing to play well for a game or two. It's another when you start stringing together 7 or 8 games where your approach looks different. That's when you start to wonder if there's a real shift happening in her game. And honestly, I think the change is coming down to shot selection. You know, actually thinking before throwing the ball up like it's a free souvenir for the crowd. And maybe, just maybe, that's coming from the coaching of Tyler Marsh. But hold on, because the Reese superfans are about to go full detective mode, digging through tweets, conspiracy boards, and slow-motion clips like they're building a case in the FBI archives. And suddenly, poor Tyler Marsh forgets how to coach a basketball team. Boom. Next thing you know, it's the meltdown of the century.
Chicago Sky is falling. The sky is falling, y'all. Chicago Sky fans are crashing out crazy on head coach Tyler Marsh. And I gotta be honest with you guys, I don't blame them. Not for this one.
The Chicago Sky just got roasted by the Minnesota Lynx, and now the same fans who were cheering a week ago are ready to march Marsh out the door with security, a box for his desk, and a whistle-shaped eviction notice. Grab your popcorn, because this drama is hotter than a courtside seat in July. Is this a team rebuild, or is it a full-on public breakup? Because right now, it's looking like a messy divorce in real time. The Chicago Sky is falling. Fans are crashing out online like the stock market on Black Monday. And for once, I'm going to be real with you. I can't even blame them entirely. Not this time. Chicago Sky fans have reached a point where frustration is baked into their DNA, and the results on the floor aren't giving them much reason for optimism. But then you have the Reese fans. And this is where it gets tricky. Reese fans have reached that magical point of sports delusion where reality becomes optional.
Showing some improvement, and now Chicago Sky fans are pissed. Is it Chicago Sky fans or is it Angel Reese fans? That's the thing that you just don't quite know. They're pissed at Tyler Marsh.
They could be handed a full textbook on basketball strategy, every diagram, every metric, and they'd still demand to know why Angel Reese isn't handed the MVP trophy for simply clocking in. They've convinced themselves that effort equals excellence, that stumbling into a double-double in a blowout is basically Nobel Prize worthy. Meanwhile, I'm sitting here like, hold on. If Reese is improving, and if that improvement is possibly coming from Marsh's coaching, then isn't it wild that the same people praising her want him gone? Maybe, just maybe, part of her growth is because of the structure he's given her. But you won't hear that from the loudest voices. Instead, you'll hear a lot of noise about how she's dominating. Except she's not facing the kind of defensive pressure that someone like Clark deals with nightly. And that's not even opinion, that's a fact. Defenders treat Clark like she's carrying a flamethrower in one hand and the WNBA rulebook in the other.
Angel's development is because of his coaching. Well, what if this found success is because of his coaching? You still want him run off? Because she obviously looks like a...
They trap her. They fight through every screen like rent's due tomorrow. They never give her a breath. Reese, teams are practically daring her to shoot. They're giving her more space than a broke guy gives a diamond store. Opposing coaches are literally writing, "Let her shoot" into the scouting report. And honestly, watching the Chicago Sky compete right now feels like watching paint dry, if the paint was actively trying to turn the ball over. But don't get me wrong, Reese is a baller. She's the self-proclaimed double-double queen, and she'll crash the glass like it owes her money. Against the Liberty, she almost had a double-double by halftime. But here's the problem. Effort without efficiency is just chaos with cardio, and chaos doesn't win championships. At this point, The way opponents defend her is bordering on disrespect. They don't double her. They don't scheme for her. They just let her play. And more often than not, let her play means plowing into the paint like a runaway shopping cart, throwing up a shot with all the grace of a car accident, and then wondering why no whistle blows. Refs seem to have developed an allergy to calling fouls when she goes full rhino mode in the lane. Maybe it's because they've seen it too many times.
These days, watching the Chicago Sky compete is not that at all. It's like watching paint dry, unfortunately. One player I will never stop believing in is Angel Reese. Angel Reese is a straight-up baller, double-double queen in the first.
And yes, I've said before that Tyler Marsh doesn't have a lot to work with. Outside of Reese, you've got Camila Cardoso, who's headed overseas, and a bench that might as well be a collection of folding chairs for all the production it's giving. I'm not sure there's a single coach in the WNBA who could take this roster and turn it into a playoff team. But man, even with that, Marsh's seat is heating up fast. And here's another reality. Reese is getting blocked at a rate that makes it look like she's trying out for the volleyball team. So I'm back, and I just watched the Minnesota versus Chicago Sky game. And yeah, I've got my Bonnie with me, because it's that kind of night. I need backup for this one. Look, I'll be fair, Minnesota came to play. No doubt about it. But so did Chicago, at least for a while. The real problem wasn't effort. It was coaching. It was adjustments. It was the fact that Mr. Marsh watched Angel Reese run out of gas like a car with the low fuel light blinking for 2 quarters straight and did absolutely nothing.
Against New York Liberty. However, I'm sorry, man. The coaching and the coaching decision continue to make the Sky look even worse than the roster is. Listen, I understand, y'all. If the roster is bad, it's hard. But
he didn't pull her. He didn't rotate fresh legs. Nothing. He just left her out there like she was a one-woman army in a war zone with no backup. And you saw the result. Turnovers, rushed decisions, sloppy play, and fast break points handed to Minnesota like candy. Some of this is developmental, sure. But at what point does it become inexcusable? Because it's not just fatigue, it's a refusal to coach proactively. And let's talk about why Chicago was most definitely outcoached today, closing out on jump shots from players who shoot with the accuracy of a coin toss in a hurricane. Why? What's the strategy there? What's the plan? There doesn't seem to be one. And yeah, I said it. Angel Reese's stat line may have shined, but the path to get there looked like a road trip through every pothole in the city. 16 offensive rebounds, many of them off her own missed layups, just to scrape together a double-double. And yet, for some reason, her fans look at that and see dominance. Dominance? Bro, the team is down by 20. That's not dominance. That's denial wrapped in hustle.
I've been on the record saying, hey, I don't think this coach has much talent to work with over there. You got Camila Cardoso, who's now gone overseas. I don't think there's much talent over there for him to work with. I don't believe there's a single.
And every time a whistle doesn't go her way, she does the same routine. Bulldoze, look confused, argue, reset. It's like watching a rerun of a bad sitcom. But her fans? Man, they act like she's Dennis Rodman 2.0. If Rodman played with a GPS that only tracked rebounds and bad decisions, and by the time the final buzzer sounds, you're left sitting there wondering, did I just watch basketball? Or did I watch someone stat chase for 37 minutes while the scoreboard begged for mercy? Because let's keep it real. If any other player shot 30%, turned the ball over 5 times, and got blocked like she was holding up a sign asking for it, we'd be having a very different conversation. But the Reese Brigade defends it all like medieval knights guarding a cursed castle. Any critique? You're a hater. Any observation? Misogyny? Any stat? Fake news. Show them the tape, the wide open looks teams are giving her, and they'll still say, she's built different. And you know what? They're right. She is built different, just not in the way they think. This isn't dominance. It's cardio disguised as hustle. Watch the actual game, not the box score.
Single coach in the WNBA who would have this team in the playoffs. I just think there's a real lack of talent over there in Chicago. It just is what it is. But look, bruh, I told you about a month ago, Tyler Marsh.
If you just look at the numbers, you'd think Angel Reese is operating at elite WNBA levels. But if you cue up the tape, it's not basketball, it's community theater. Every possession feels like it's been choreographed by chaos. Her footwork looks like someone learning TikTok dances mid-drive. Her handle is somewhere between please don't dribble and this is why coaches cry. Nothing about it says pro unless pro stands for professionally stubborn. And let's not forget Tyler Marsh in all this. The man looked like he forgot he had players on the bench until the last 5 minutes. Rotations? What are those? Adjustments? Never heard of them. He stuck with a game plan that wasn't working, watched it implode, and then looked surprised. It reminded me of when Teaspoon first started coaching, except worse. Marsh looked stuck, like a loading screen that never ends. And at some point, man, you've got to do better than that. The first step in any kind of development is acknowledging you don't know what you're doing. Because right now, it's not just that Reese isn't explosive, it's that nothing around her is either.
Know how many more times it can be shouted from the rooftops? Fire Jeff Palagoka and Tyler Marsh before the clock strikes midnight. I turned the game on to see that this man Tyler Marsh emptied the whole bench midway through the third quarter.
Her first step looks like she's getting off a city bus after missing her stop. Slow, disoriented, and trying to figure out what direction she's supposed to go. If she ever had to bring the ball up against the kind of pressure Caitlin Clark sees nightly, double teams, traps, full court presses, her handle would collapse like a deck of cards in a hurricane. 3 possessions in, tops, and the other team would realize she can't handle the rock under heat. Press activated, game over, turnovers start flowing. Suddenly, Tyler Marsh's clipboard looks less like a strategy board and more like a resignation letter. But now you won't hear that from her fans. They're too busy quoting stat lines built in 37-minute losses where the opposing team called off the Dogs by the third quarter. It's wild. She plays marathon minutes, but instead of leadership or rhythm, what you get is stat scavenging. Half her rebounds are off her own bricks. It's basketball recycling, but without the sustainability benefits. And can we talk about this whole cover athlete situation? Angel Reese on the front of a video game? That wasn't marketing. That was satire.
I saw an 8-point deficit go to 10, 10 go to 20, 20 go to 30, 30 push to damn near 40. This type of incompetence cannot, that can't be rewarded with a paycheck anymore.